Flexing like this my town. I think I found my sound. Not with the king, that's wild.
What does it mean to be gluttonous and how can you overcome it? Let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. So, in my opinion, to be gluttonous, it is a behavior. Um, the reason I say that is because of the fact that to be gluttonous is like a form of greed, right? You're gluttonous, you are taking something in excess that is replacing what you should where God should be, right? So if it involves food, which the majority of people that are gluttonous, they do it with food. Overeating, just too much consumption of food. Um, that can also tie into drinking alcohol. Just that's like a drunkard, someone who's always drinking all the time. They're always drunk, right? Um, Gluttony is kind of like one of those things where the root cause of it is you're being greedy, and it also derives from a form of laziness, right? Because when you talk about eating, eating right involves discipline. It involves you having to have discipline to know when it's necessary to eat, and also how much of that particular thing you want to eat. If you're talking about apples, you can eat 20 apples and get the same amount of calories as you can eating one hamburger. But if you eat 20 hamburgers, you're gonna that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of calories. It's a lot of saturated fat. And so the end result is you getting overweight, being obese. And that is the definition of gluttony. I think people can also be gluttonous when you're talking about possessions. If you're talking about money, I feel like that is like greed and gluttony. Like you, you just want so much money that it takes the place of God. You know what I mean? Anything that takes God's place in your life, as far as like when you're stressed out, angry, if you're um, just, it's always on your mind. It's all you think about. You walk past the refrigerator and you automatically just want to start eating because you're just walking past. Like that is an idol. You know what I mean? So I got a couple of scriptures that is going to talk about gluttonous behavior, and hopefully this will kind of help you understand what it is to be gluttonous. I think that people can stop being gluttonous. I think that if you're obese, just because you're obese, that doesn't mean you're still gluttonous. I think that you can be obese and stop being gluttonous, but you still have the consequences of your behavior. And so you have to go to the gym, you have to eat less, get in a caloric deficit, and you have to lose that weight. Um, so let's go ahead and pull up these scriptures real quick that speaks on gluttonous behavior, and let's dive into it some more. So we got Deuteronomy 21:20. It says, "They shall say to the elders, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Right? Those things kind of go hand in hand. People that drink a lot of alcohol, that's excess. People that eat a lot of food is excess. So, like, let's say you go to a restaurant, right? And you're eating, and you got these loaded nachos, and it got the peppers on it, it got the cheese, it got the sour cream, the meat, just you know what I mean, all of that, right? And you are eating like half of it, and you start to feel full. You're like, I'm starting to feel a little full. My stomach's starting to hurt a little bit. You don't have to necessarily finish that food just because it's there, right? You don't have to. You can either save it for later or give it to somebody else. But when you push past that, now you're diving into gluttonous behavior. And gluttony can be just as serious as any, it is just as serious as any other sin. Um, Gluttonous behavior can kind of halt or slow down or prevent or get in the way of you doing God's work. All right, let's look at Proverbs 23:19 through 21. It says, "Listen, my son, and be wise, and set your heart on the right path. Do not join those who drink too much wine or gorge themselves on meat, for drunkards and gluttons become poor, and drowsiness clothe them in rags. So that actually that's actually pretty accurate. That the more food you eat, you're technically making yourself more poor by eating more food, right? If you always go, think about it. You're always going to McDonald's, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, KFC. You go to these places every day for lunch. The average meal now costs about $10 to $15 for a meal. So if you're talking about 5 days, you're thinking about close to $70 a week just on out to eat food at work. And then you still have to eat breakfast and dinner, and then you're snacking. And so all of this stuff adds up. And especially if you're thinking about a whole family, it gets, now you're talking about you're spending $300, $400, $500 a week on food. Okay, so we got another verse. Proverbs 25:16 says, if you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it and you will vomit. Um, that right there kind of goes into just way too much consumption of anything. You ever felt like that? Like I've had that feeling before. Like I've eaten so much that I'm like, man, I gotta throw up. And if you are eating that much, that's a lot of food to be eating. It's not healthy. It is a lack of self-control. It's a lack of self-control. You don't have the ability to stop. So if you don't have the ability to stop doing something, now that thing that you cannot stop becomes your master. And so if that thing becomes your master, where are you putting God? Something else that something else that can be said about this situation is also our body is a temple of God, right? So we want to be holy, right? We're striving to be holy, striving to be righteous, and we're also striving to live a healthy lifestyle. And it is hard to live a healthy lifestyle when you're eating unhealthy, right? If you're eating processed food all the time, sugary food, a lot of pop, all of that stuff, it's unhealthy. It makes you feel bad. It takes your it drives your hormones through the roof, and it makes you feel drowsy. Sometimes it makes you feel sluggish, and it's hard to do God's work and honor God when you're dealing with that. Anybody who's dealing with gluttonous behavior, and also not just food but money, possessions, understand that we're called to live an abundant life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to overconsume on anything. We don't want to give people a reason or something to use against us, right? So if you're someone who battle with lust, you don't want to give people a reason to use lust against you. Like, well, oh, I saw you doing this and that. So you try to do good around people that, you know what I mean? You try to do good around unbelievers. Like Paul talks about that, like just trying to live as holy as you can around unbelievers so that they can see God through you. So it'll be hard for someone to see God through you when you're obese, when you're eating too much food, drinking too much alcohol, when you're always concerned about your possessions, always concerned about money. It's hard for people to see God through that because they're like, that right there is the type of behavior that people in the world have. So if you are someone who battles with gluttonous behavior, I would encourage you to pray about it first. And also to see why you're doing this behavior. See what the issue is. What's the root cause of it? And to practice living a more healthier lifestyle. Get in the gym. If you have to have a personal trainer of some sort, and to get this under control. Take control back from your flesh. Have self-control and discipline. And I can tell you most certainly that you will feel better. You will think better. You will have more energy to do God's work, and your lifestyle will reflect what God wants out of us. And that at the end will help other people see God through you. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this topic. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you watching. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button if you want to. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss another video. My name is Aaron Page, and I'm out.
Flexing like this, my town. I think I found my sound. Not with the king, that's wild.